Hello, this is take two, because the last one deleted itself. What made the Great Depression last so long? Leave a question. There are many overly simplistic views about the Great Depression, such as the free market, like there weren't enough rules. So people made bad decisions which harmed the economy until the New Deal, which stopped bad behavior. While we tend to view the New Deal as the policy that helped end the economic disaster of the 1930s, in many ways the government was responsible for prolonging the nature of the Great Depression from the gold standard, globalization, and government interventions. Point one, the gold standard. The gold standard and the currencies around the globe were tied to a gold standard, meaning that the value of the notes were based off of the value of the gold kept in the country vaults. Because now the gold worked its way slowly and evenly around the world, exchanging rates between countries varied a little bit. This helps businesses feel comfortable selling across seas because gold is hard to come by and harder to store. Central banks were printing too much money, which was easy to keep inflation to 2%. During World War I, most of the combatant countries abandoned the gold standard. It was hard to print money during a war, but the gold standard was normal, so the government just assumed that they would go back to the gold standard after the war ended. A quote by Barry Eichengreen says, "It seems logical after World War I that reconstructing the gold standard suspended during the war was essentially to recover what was good in the pre-war society." End quote. Globalization. Point two, globalization. During European Renaissance, the economy developed technological innovations and advancements. One coupled with the collapse by Byzantine Empire led to Europeans to search for new access points to Asia. By developing ocean vessels, European powers cut the Middle Eastern middleman, and received real economic gains from this. Gains caused from this trade, allowing for an emergence of the stock market. They made ports along the coast that eventually turned into cities in South Africa, Asia, South America, Asia, and Africa. These cities became centers of trade, allowing for new countries to emerge. All of this created enormous amounts of wealth, which made them independent and made the country more fragile. Gold had functioned as the global currency, linking the economy together, but without any real agreement. France's unusual gold policy harmed almost every country in the world, but there is nothing anyone could do. A quote by John Ickenberry says, quote, the Great Depression was caused by, quote, people and institutions that were overwhelmed by the globalized world pressure and consequences in the institutions that handled economic integrations, end quote. No, burdened by heiresses, end quote. Point three, government Interventions. Wall Street crashed in 1920. Wall Street crashed in 1929, which would have resolved itself easily if the government would leave the gold standard in the 1920s. Instead, efforts were made on a wide range of fronts to counteract Americans' economic problems. Many of these solutions included ineffective tools such as toleration labor camps. The New Deal made market unpredictable, which solved investments throughout the 1930s, which might have spurred economic growth. A quote by a contemporary source on the New Deal says, quote, As to the New Deal, I believe it has been a failure, as it has protected the trust more than the American people. Today, the poor are poorer and the trusts are richer. So although there are many oversimplistic views about the Great Depression, such as the free market, there weren't enough rules, so people made bad choices which harmed the economy until the New Deal, which stopped bad behavior. While we tend to view the New Deal as the policy that helped end the economic disaster in the 1930s, in many ways the government was responsible for prolonging the nature of the Great Depression by the gold standard, globalization, and government intervention. Thank you. And until next time, peace.